Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the lab number FSC6V100. This is a vial of 100 of their spring covers for Falcon in a 6-pin. So when you buy one, you're buying a vial of 100, and you can buy them in a vial of 100 or in a pack of 25. We've recently done a relatively small job of small format here and used my lab pinning kit for doing that. And very good quality pins. Absolutely no anomalies whatsoever. There was one control key that didn't work, and Falcon original cylinders. My lab kit, which I'll show you in a moment. The master worked, the change key worked. On this one cylinder, the control did not work. And it was the first cylinder in a series of 1AA through 5AA. So it was 1AA. And the control key didn't work. And I checked the root depth. Everything was good. The cuts were great against the depth and spacing charts. Well, put my caliper on the overall height of the blade, and it was 2 thousandths off. And one in a, I don't remember the last time I had a key blank that was wrong in terms of that sort of height, but it prevented it from working. So the lab equipment worked perfectly in every step. So the thickness of this spring cover is 0.012, and the overall length of it, being a 6-pin, is 0.903 long. So when you're pinning Falcon small format, you have a slide cover. The Falcon standard would be a slide cover. Best, the standard would be individually capped. Being a lazy individual, pinning interchangeable core is just a lot of work to begin with. And then individually capping them just adds to it. So it just takes longer to do it. So I do like when I get a chance to use a slide spring cover on a Falcon type of installation, or any installation that's using a spring cover. So this job exhausted all of our 6 and 7-pin spring covers, so we brought them in for restocking. I thought I'd make a quick video showing what they look like. My lab kit is here. I owned one of these many years ago. I like to, with Falcon, this kit is great. This is a BWI 108. This gives you enough equipment to probably do maybe a 25-cylinder job if you're going to, if you're going to buy a kit and you know that you're going to do 100 cylinders, you're going to need to probably buy springs. Certainly, you're going to need to buy springs, slide covers as well. So be mindful of that. Let's take a look at the product catalog of both of these items really quick. Okay, here's the manufacturer's page, and at the end of the video I'll show you how to get to the whole catalog. But here is our 6-pin slide cover, 100 in a pack. I suppose only buy 25 if you really don't do many cylinders. Obviously the 7-pin version is here. Now that link to the kit I showed you earlier, it's the BW 108. A couple of notes about this. Again, be mindful of how many cylinders you're going to try to do right out of the blocks, and order those additional pieces. You're not going to get a ton of springs itself. You get 100 pins, so be mindful if you've got a lot of 2 masters that you're going to need, or whatever, a series of number 4s. If you're generating the bidding list yourself, you'll be able to know. Obviously, you'll know how many pins you're going to need, so be mindful. You're getting 100 pins here. The quantity of springs, it doesn't state, and I don't think there was more than 100 in there. Yeah, it's not indicated in the kit itself how many springs. So be mindful. And it has some best style springs in there as well, but those are not the right specifications to use when doing Falcon. So a really nice kit. A downside of it, though, of course, and is the upside. When you're pinning them, having them color coded is nice because it will easily tell you. You'll be able to put a pin back in the kit without any fear of putting it in the wrong area. The downside of of color coded is that to the educated observer, you can look inside that broaching and narrow it down. I mean, how many, looking at my kit, there are only 2 bottom pins that are red in color. So if you're able to look inside of there with a scope and a pick, you're gonna you'll be able to determine reasonably well what. It won't take you many key blanks before you figure out what change key is working in that cylinder. So that is a downside of color-coded pins. So be mindful of that. They were used on this job. This is a project where the client had specific requirements. They understood the risks of color-coded pins, and we proceeded accordingly. Now, let's get back and talk about that link to the manufacturer's page, which is here. Okay, that link to the manufacturer's page will allow you to pull up not only all of the lab products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to their full product catalog, which is where we pulled that information from on the cut sheet of the kit and the spring cover itself. The name Lab is synonymous with very high quality pins. They are absolutely the company that manufactures pins for other companies. It is my understanding that they actually manufacture pins for other manufacturers, and the other manufacturers have said, here's the machine, we're going to put it in your facility, you're going to make our pins for us. And they have that relationship with manufacturers. So they understand the manufacturing of these lock components absolutely to a science. Their catalog is interesting. It will allow you, as I'm going back to the front of it on my screen here, you'll be able to talk about their history, and their name is utterly synonymous in the world of locksmithing. I use their pins all the time. I've been using it for 30 years. Just can't think of a time when I was not able. Well, the only time that you won't really use a lab kit is when you can't. Or, the fact of the matter is you like to use original kits. I have my best original kit here, my Corbin Russwin original kit over there. And when I'm keying a particular system, I'm using that manufacturer's kit. The Lab is exceptional. Lab is fantastic. But if you're going to pin master ring, not that you're probably going to do that often, if at all, but the Lab kit, even the Emerald Wedge, is not going to have all the sizes you need. That's a 3,000ths or a 5,000th increment kit. Every pin is 0.003 apart or 0.005 apart. Well, that doesn't work in many instances. In master ring, you're missing many pins that you need to do it right. If you're pinning interchangeable core Corbin Russwin, you're going to bump into that sort of a problem as well. But garden variety locksmithing, a Lab Universal kit is as valuable as a manufacturer's specific kit because it's a tool that will allow you to do many jobs flawlessly in purchasing just one kit. If you're keying a bunch of Quickset and Schlage, the Lab kit's going to be great. It just is. I would not buy a Lab or a Wiser dedicated kit because there's just no reason to, no absolute reason to, in my opinion. But when you're doing locks that have cylinders that have specific requirements in terms of sizes and shape of the pins that exceed what Lab is putting in that kit, you would use a dedicated kit. I'm a fan of Labs, and I hope that come through. Any questions on that Lab? That is the part number FSC6V100. Vial of 100 6-pin spring covers, and there are 7-pin spring covers, as I showed you earlier. You'll need the 7-pin if you're pinning 7 pins, so be mindful of that. Or any other Lab product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.